is nou weer voor jou, en even is niet sneller sharing. Snel is nou weer niet sneller share. Wait. Let me say that again. Today is the repeat rewind challenge. So, I love a tag. I love a tag. I love being tagged because it makes me feel like I'm not being left out. I like creating tags, like my Ride or Die and my obscure tag videos that I made last year. I really enjoyed making them. I enjoy making a tag, but there is one inherent flaw in a tag, and that is that the prompts don't change, which is kind of the whole point of a tag, except the prompts don't change. So you end up watching 5 or 6 of those videos and then you're like, I've had enough. Don't want to look at this tag anymore. And if you get tagged in a lot of them, or if you've tagged a lot of people in them, you want to see what their response to those prompts are, sometimes it can just be a bit much. So I set myself the challenge of creating a tag, because I love creating a tag, but also making it so that the prompts change for everyone who gets involved. And the other video that I really enjoyed making last year was my playlist video, which was where I basically created a playlist based on a book that I really liked and recommended you songs based on a book rather than the other way around. And I thought, oh, let's marry those two. Let's make those two ideas kiss in some way. And that's what we're here to do. So basically, this is a tag of 10 prompts that you then have to go and find yourself. Here's how you take part in this tag. You've been tagged, or you've just discovered it and decided you're tagged. Either works. Then you're going to go to your repeat rewind playlist on Spotify, or your most played on whichever other app you use for your music, and then you're going to pick the top 10, and then you're going to use those songs to recommend books. The only other rule is that you can only use 1 song per artist, so this is not Tay Recommends video. So I'm going to go through the songs that are my top, and then we're going to tell you some books that are related to those. You can tell me what you think. So apparently, according to Spotify Rewind, this is kind of embarrassing, my most played song is a song called Well, I Can Get Sexual Too by Say Anything. Now, Say Anything have come out and apologised for this song because essentially it's about a young man who is on the phone to his girlfriend and she is touching herself and he is laughing at her, and that's problematic, but it is a good tune though. So I do play it a lot. It is a song that I kind of discovered when I was like 15, 16 and I thought sex was funny, part of my formative years. But here's what I took away from that song. 1, yes, anyone can be sexual, that's fine. Wow, I can be sexual too. And 2, what is a book that I have recently read, enjoyed, that had smutty scenes that didn't make me want to vom, but also was like laugh out funny? Because like I find that a rom-com in a book is really tricky to find. Straight romance, fine. But if you can actually like tag that thing where it's both funny and romantic, then you've done really well. So of course I had to recommend Get a Life Chloe Brown. This made me snort laugh to the point where I was having to explain the jokes to the people that were around me. The sex scenes are steamy, and she's a plus size girl feeling sexy, so that was just great. I loved that. So I felt like it kind of encompassed all those those different things in one book. If you can see what I'm saying about essentially you're going to be interpreting the songs however you like, that's fine. You're just here to create a list of books that you think people should read using those prompts. So it's a win-win. My second most played song is Future Heroine by Eka Van Dal, and this is basically about a strong, powerful woman who isn't there to be your heroine. She's not there to look after you. She has created a thing for herself. And I thought, I recently read this book. I read it just the weekend just gone. I kind of read it in 2 days. I loved it, and it's about a powerful female heroine, and that is Slay by Brittany Morris. It is a YA contemporary sci-fi themed. I thought it was going to be more sci-fi than this because it's about a game, but really it's just a contemporary virtual reality game. But essentially she's created this beautiful game that champions black excellence and black culture and looks at black culture in the different facets and tries to give black people a space where they can be comfortable and not play a game where they are being tormented by other people. Whites. I'm talking about whites. But unfortunately, something goes wrong and a boy is shot. And it's not her fault, but a lot of people blame her for that, and that's kind of what this story is about. And what I liked is the idea that she is the heroine of this story, but she's not necessarily an active heroine. A lot of things are happening to her and it's not really her problem, but she has to deal with them. Anyway, I really like this book. There is some powerful stuff in this. There is some really dark stuff that kind of hit me where I was not expecting it to, but I thought it was absolutely fantastic and would definitely recommend to everybody to read. My third most played song on my Spotify rewind was I've Got a Theory from the Buffy soundtrack. I can't help it that I know every word. I also considered doing a video where I break down the lyrics and explain to you why it so perfectly sums up the entire series, but I don't know if you guys want to listen to me rant about that for an hour, because it will take me at least an hour to get through. So I thought I'd narrow it down and just say what is a book I would recommend based on Buffy, and that is the Mediator series. I have mentioned this so many times, it is almost a complete rip-off of Buffy, but during my complete Meg Cabot reread, I've been really enjoying the Mediator series. I've only got one book left of the series to read, and I haven't touched it because I don't really want it to end. It holds up. It feels very 90s, early noughties. It feels like every teen drama I read as a kid, because it basically is. But you've got your main character who is a kick-ass who can see ghosts. She has a brooding boyfriendy type. She has a Giles type. She has two nerdy best friends who help her solve crimes. It's Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but in book form. So if you're looking for more of that, tap back into this. It holds up. I really enjoy it still. So the fourth song was My Strange Addiction by Billie Eilish. Now, I don't think I've ever read a book that looks at addiction properly, or has had addiction in it where it's good representation of it either, that I would feel comfortable like promoting. But the other thing is, obviously in the beginning of Billie Eilish's song there are Office references, and I thought that's quite a pop culture reference that fundamentally, like, kids nowadays, if they'll have seen clips of stuff, but they won't necessarily have been there when the song first came out. And to have these like little references and make them timeless is a really tricky thing to do. And I also liked the idea that her strange addiction isn't specifically drugs, like that's not the addiction she's discussing, but it's again just a reference to. So I went with Every Heart a Doorway, because this references pop culture but in a way that is unexpected. It looks at things in quite a subtle way, and I love this series. I can't get enough of this series. I'm not calling it an addiction because I think that would be a weird thing to say, but I really, really enjoy this series. I'm now 4 books into 6 and just can't get enough. This is about a group of children who have been to essentially Wonderland or Neverland, or these worlds that are almost perfectly created for them, but they are elsewhere type places. Except that because doors open and close to these worlds, they have been brought back to Earth, and they want to get back to where they want to be. They are, I guess in a way it does kind of look at themes of addiction, but again subtly, because they are obsessed with these places and they want to get home, but they've been cut off from it. Whilst there are quite dark themes, the books don't feel dark, like they're not heavy. I would definitely recommend these to young readers. They have LGBTQ representation, they've got quite a diverse cast. They're fantastic books, and I just felt like it took me a while with that one. That song was a tricky one to pinpoint a book that I wanted to recommend, but I thought actually this fit quite nicely in that gap. It doesn't fill all the holes of it, but it fits nicely, and I just felt like it's a book that I'm happy to keep recommending, so that works. Number 5 is Momentary Lapse. Now, Momentary Lapse is not like any other song in this series. Essentially, the list of these songs tend to go from like rock to pop to musical, whereas this one is dubstep house kind of stuff. And it's not what I would usually listen to, except for when I'm in the mood to do it. And I have to be in the mood for it. And I thought the other thing about this song was that it was recommended to me by my friend Sean, who you may have seen in live streams with me. She was on Drunk Stoned and Stupid with me, and she interviewed me about my book, and I am all over her Twitter, so she's my bestie, love her. She recommended me Momentary Lapse when she showed me the playlist that she listens to every day, and I was like, well, actually there's some quite good songs in here. Momentary Lapse is the one that I play the most. Now, Sean also recommended me Emma Cline, who is a literary writer. Again, not a genre that I would usually tap into, but I've really enjoyed taking on Sean's recommendations. So I want to talk to you about Daddy by Emma Cline. Now, I thought this was going to be a novel. I think Sean thought this was going to be a novel as well. She originally recommended me Girls by Emma Cline, but I haven't read that yet, so I don't feel comfortable like recommending something straight off the bat that I've not read without saying that. Whereas I have read Daddy, I've really enjoyed it, but I've enjoyed it in the way that I enjoy a Sudoku puzzle or a crossword. They're not necessarily fun, but I've enjoyed having my brain tested. This is a collection of short stories about father figures and relationships with men. It is really poignant, it's really sad. The only thing I would say is, because it's a collection of short stories, there are so many stories where there just are no resolutions. They just end. And I have a real issue with that. But if you like literary fiction, or if you want to try literary fiction, these are incredibly accessible stories. There's nothing in here that you won't understand, but they are very cleverly crafted, and every sentence means something. So unlike with genre fiction where they're building up to a bigger picture, you could almost take it out line by line and analyse it, which is basically what literary fiction is. And sometimes it can be really pretentious, but in this I actually really like it. So for number 5, basically it's a Sean recommends, and Sean recommends this, so I recommend it too. That's why it's in my list, but I just wanted to clarify where I discovered it from. Number 6 is Just a Day by Feeder, and I was like, I don't have any books that take place over just a day, so I wasn't really sure what to recommend for this one. And then I was like, oh, really obvious, just talk about a book that you've only just got, that you've had for just a day, here the whole time. I bought this recently because on a Tuesday sprint with Emma Novella and a No Stuck in a Book, nearly called him Bobby again, he was talking about how he was reading the arc of this and that he found it really poignant, and there was some stuff in it that was really relatable to him. And I think Emma also has an arc of this, and I was like, the more he was talking about it, the more I was falling in love with him talking about it. Like, it just sounded so lovely. But yeah, anyway, so I've added this to my list as a recommendation purely on Robbie's recommendation to it. I've had it for just a day, so hopefully I'll get to read it soon. I'm really excited. I don't know what it's about other than that it has these relatable moments, but it has LGBTQ themes, and I think it's been out, I think it's a Brazilian author, I think he said. I think Robbie said it was Brazilian. So the author is Brazilian, so it's been out in Brazil a while, but it's only just kind of hitting the UK market. So I'm excited to read this one. Number 7 is probably the heaviest in my repeat rewind. It is The Animal Ive Become by 3 Days Grace, I believe. It's loud and it's angry and it's fantastic. It was nearly Jekyll and Hyde, but Jekyll and Hyde by Five Finger Death Punch was not high enough, but it was nearly that song. But I thought actually this was a perfect time to bring up Ruin Song again. If I can't get this into every single video in 2021, like, am I even trying? This is about a girl who can basically sing you to death. She can torture you with her song. She sings beautifully and it hurts. And the book hurts too. So this is a sapphic romance fantasy. It is fantastic. It is genuinely dark. The opening chapter has her torturing a little kid. I mean, she's a little kid too, but like, it's dark. And I keep hearing people saying, oh, I want to find more dark fantasies. This. And I want to find more sapphic romances. This. And I want to see some more plus size representation. Also here. So we love that. But it is, yeah, it's all those things and more. And I'm obsessed. So The Animal Ive Become. Because the monster references, basically. You'll understand when you read it. Number 8 was If You're Over Me by Years and Years. And again, I was like, do I put another romance in this or do I choose something else? And I was like, well, let's go for something else. And then I was like, what's a book that I just can't stop thinking about? And this is such a weird recommendation. So Babylon Steel was probably the first American fantasy that I had ever read. And it was so not what I was expecting. It was so weird. It was a little bit sci-fi. It was just strange. The whole thing is just a very strange experience. And every time I do an unhaul, I think I should really throw this away because I don't know if I want to read it again. And then I don't. And I keep hold of it. And I'll either have to reread it this year or just get rid of it. But it's so... Plus, it looks like it's got Kate Hudson on the front cover. Can't get over that either. So yeah, that's just... I can't let it go. Can't stop thinking about it. Not over it. Number 9 was another musical tune. It was The Greatest Show, which is from The Greatest Showman by Hugh Jackman. I can never get the beat at the beginning right. I can never get the timing on it. When it's like the dun dun bit. I miss it every single time and I don't know why. But I listen to it quite a lot, so you'd think I should be better at it. But I was like, I don't really have any books that are about musicals or circuses that I would recommend. Sorry, Emma. But what about a TV show? Could I recommend a book off of a TV show? And then I was like, yes, I can. Because I don't know if Dune is out yet, but I wanted to talk about it. So we have Dune by Frank Herbert, which is basically the space opera that influenced Star Wars. Star Wars is a thing because this is a thing. And when you read it, you'll realise just how much Star Wars is a thing because of this thing. It had a film, wasn't good. Star Wars became a film, was good. And then you had like spin-off TV series like The Mandalorian that just try and break your heart. This is the book that started it all. So I thought Greatest Show I know it's tenuous. It's a tenuous link, but I was really struggling at this point. Essentially, Dune is a chosen one narrative space opera where a young boy is basically decided that I think he's going to be like a prophet or something. It's been a while since I've read it. This was recommended to me by a media teacher when I was teaching, so I just wanted something to talk to those colleagues about, and this was a great thing. And then I realised that it was, I mean, he told me that it was what influenced Star Wars, and it even says on the back, before The Matrix, before Star Wars, before Endgame, before Neuromancer, there was Dune, the greatest science fiction novel ever written, which, I mean, there's been some pretty fantastic sci-fi novels written since, but I hear what they're saying, so enjoy. And then number 10, technically I already did this for number 5, but I want you to go to the person who tagged you, pick one of the songs that you don't recognise, that you've never heard before, listen to it, and then make a recommendation based on that. That's the final prompt. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've really enjoyed creating it. Some of those picks were really tricky, but I think overall it came out alright, and I can't wait to see other people be tagged and actually be able to watch all of them without being like, I'm so bored of my own prompts. So people I want to tag in this video: Tish, because I know she loves a tag; Olivia, because I love her videos; Keris, if she's got time; Emma Novella, because I think it'd be really funny to see what kind of music she listens to; and Kelly, because I think she likes the same kind of like loud and angry music that I do, but I might be wrong. Let's find out. Let's find out what her most played songs are. Which song from this list have you never heard of before, or which book would you recommend for one of my prompts? Either of those questions, leave in the comments down below. And other than that, have a nice day.